Rory Thompson, thank you so much for joining Cook's Table today. It's a privilege to have you on my up and coming podcast, and just to have you say yes after we got connected through Zach Hendricks. It's truly an honor. So I know that you've been one of these figures for me that in Arkansas, I've heard your name, quite a bit through different circles, and some of my friends have worked for you over the years. And youth storage is ubiquitous, I feel like, at this point. So it feels like a big deal to have you join and share some of your wisdom. So thankful for that, and
Yeah.
excited to get into it. So
Well, I'm excited to have a conversation with you and anything I've learned, be able to share. And Lord's been good to me. We've got a good business. I think you said this was your 24th episode, and U Storage last year got its 24th location.
wow,
So maybe this was all meant to be, but I'm super excited to have a conversation with you, learn from you, and if I can share anything that I've learned or have grown in this podcast, I'm excited to be here.
that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. So we were just catching up on kind of your backstory, and really both of us and where our paths have crossed a little bit in Conway, Arkansas. Obviously now I'm in Chicago, you're still there, but church connections, friend connections. But let's go back to the beginning for you. Like, you mentioned being born in Russellville, is that correct?
So
What's the backstory?
I was actually born in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Spent about 10 years in Houston. Parents actually got divorced, moved to a little town called Russellville, Arkansas. And I went from big city to really, really small town. And in that small town, it was at the edge of town. And so it was a major culture shock for me. But spent 10 years in Russellville, and then graduated high school in Russellville. Went 2 years to Arkansas Tech, and then decided, hey, it's time to get out of this town. Came on down the interstate to Conway to UCA. I also had heard that they had a lot more girls at UCA than they had at Arkansas Tech. So that was a pretty big motivational factor for me as well.
Sure.
Really did a lot of career planning there. Uh, so so came on down to UCA, finished up, got a degree in finance, and then just really have stuck around the Conway area for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think, I mean, other than the girls back in the day, what do you think was the draw to Conway, and why have you
um,
stayed there so long?
yeah, that's a great question. I think I loved Russellville, really, really good people in Russellville, good community there. But I just think it was like internally kind of like a time for me to flap my wings, to go somewhere else. I do remember the first 6 months when I lived in Conway that I was wanting to go home almost every weekend because didn't really have friends, didn't really have a lot going on. And I just missed Russellville. Like I knew everybody in town. It was a smaller community. And so the first 6 months I didn't love Conway, but I think it was just a point of life that it was time for me, I guess, grow up, do something a little different. It wasn't a long distance move, but it was still a big move for me. So
Mhm,
I think it was
mhm.
a time to do something different.
Yeah, I find it so fascinating, I guess, in reflecting on Conway and my time there, just how many people Conway seems to retain, you know? Like, there's something about it, Rory, like, I don't know if I could put my finger on it, but
Mhm.
there, obviously college town, tons of people go to college there,
Yeah.
and then, a lot of people probably end up in Little Rock, or they
Yeah.
they go out of state like me, but, there's this magnetic pull back to it, I think,
Mhm.
as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I just had some friends move back to that area, after being in Kansas City for a while. Like, they were like, "Oh, we wanna go back to Conway." They don't Their family actually is in Plumerville and Russellville area, but they still wanted to be back
Okay.
in Conway because of the
Yeah.
the great experience
Great
they'd had
community.
there.
Yeah, it's a great community. It's got enough going on. And then I think it's also closer to a larger city.
Yeah,
So I just think there's a lot of options in Conway. You can work in Little Rock. There's options in Conway, but I just think it's a really good community here, and I
mhm,
think a lot of people. It's a small big town.
sure, sure.
Yeah, because I've traveled a little bit too. I know you have as well, but like even compared to like Northwest Arkansas,
Mhm,
um, it just has a different culture here. Like it's
right,
more southern, I think. It
mhm,
feels more friendly. It feels more neighborly. And I think that's a big appeal. And yet it's still a pretty nice size
right.
town, lots going on. And you still got the Little Rock factor where, a lot of opportunities in Little Rock and it's just a short drive down the road. So
Totally, totally. Yeah. No, that's great. I think one of the other things that stands out, even as we're talking about geography and locations, and I'm reflecting on your business, you storage, and we'll get into that more. But I also sense that there's been an emphasis on Arkansas for you because
Hmm.
when I looked at the map, I don't, at least at this point, don't see locations out of state yet, and that maybe that's expansion for the future with you storage. But you're pretty bullish on Arkansas as well, I would assume,
Oh,
having built a business here and expanded
oh,
like
yeah.
you have.
Yeah. Oh, I love Arkansas. I love the people of Arkansas. I like the nature in Arkansas. A lot of good towns in Arkansas. It's more of a it's really a kind of a state, but anywhere I go, I see people that I know. People
Right.
are very friendly. Uh, so it's just a really, really good state. I also think it's really good. I haven't done a lot of stuff outside the state, but I have talked to people who've done some things outside the state, real estate investors, different different folks. The first architect I hired was from California
Okay.
and was kind of telling me about the permitting process in California, how long it takes to build a storage property in California, 2 years on average. You're paying all these city fees and just kind of anti-business, so to speak.
Sure.
I'm a young entrepreneur. I need to get stuff done pretty quickly. Low cost. That's another big thing about the in Arkansas that I love
Yeah.
is the cost of land, the cost of taxes, the cost of utilities. Is really nice in Arkansas. And so, just not saying that I won't get outside Arkansas. I believe it'll probably be, we've got 24 locations in Arkansas. We'll do some more here, but I think after that, it's probably going to be Oklahoma,
Sure.
Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi. Not sure about Louisiana.
Okay.
I've heard everything's different in Louisiana. The food is
Okay.
great. The laws are wild. Um, but who knows? And then Texas to me feels like a whole other continent.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the reason we just, you want to be able to see stuff. You want to be able to build culture.
Right.
You want to be able to see what's actually happening because we have a storage business and it's sometimes everybody's on an island, and so that's the part of it is to build a pretty good base of business
Yeah.
and then really kind of just expand out 20, 25, 30 miles from your like a leapfrog situation.
Yeah.
So no one tries to create to where no one's on an island. The first time we did a store up in Jonesboro, which we have 4 locations up there now, but the first time we did a store in Jonesboro, it just felt like it was on an island. It was like if somebody couldn't work that day or something happened or you have something going on, um, you had no help, you had no support. And so
Yeah.
now we've got a store in Searcy and we've got 4 stores in Jonesboro and, got a lot more infrastructure built into that market. And we're going to continue to grow and expand even beyond what we've already done. So that's
Yeah.
some of the things. But yeah, when you get out of state too, you start getting some more complexities of different laws and things like that. It's not terrible in the storage business, but there's just different nuances. Property tax rates in Kansas, I hear, is really bad.
Okay.
Um, so there's different states that tax things differently, and Uncle Sam has to get his money. But in Arkansas, we have sales tax, which is not applicable to storage, but reasonable property taxes.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but eventually we will get outside the state and have plans to continue to grow beyond Arkansas. But man, I can't say enough good things about this state. Like it's pro business. Cost of living is really nice. You can get things done here by and large. And I think there's a ton of opportunities in Arkansas. And I just think it's a beautiful state where a lot of people want. Probably shouldn't say this on the podcast because people might the secret might actually get out. But yeah, people are starting to figure out Arkansas. You got Northwest Arkansas that's really growing,
Right.
but really beyond even Northwest Arkansas, like there's just a lot of good things in Arkansas.
Totally. Totally. I do find that it's striking to me how few people know what it's about,
Mhm.
and even with Walmart being there, and all the money in Northwest in particular, it's such a hidden gem still. And I
Yeah.
think on one hand I want people to know, on the other hand I don't want people to know because
Yeah.
it's really nice to go
I
to the
mean,
Buffalo without
outdoor.
knowing people.
I love all kinds of outdoor activities. So
Yeah.
just so many, outdoor activities that are here, and so yeah, we're really blessed.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's great. Love it. Okay, so going back to some of the journey, I guess we left off at UCA. You had gotten your degree in finance. Did you jump right into entrepreneurship at that point, or did you get a job somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know how much time you have.
Okay.
I can tell you about all of the different jobs that I've had, and I will share a few of them because
Sure.
maybe they are important because I've had this question asked by a few people, and I'm going to give you a long answer. So
That's fine.
my
Well,
apologies for that. But as a kid, um, I grew up. Really, my parents were divorced. I mentioned that earlier,
no.
and really at that age of 16, I really did not have a lot of financial help from my mother. And with that, I looked around at, somebody getting a little bit of money over here or a gas card over here, or here's some money to go buy some food. And honest, I just didn't really have that. Of course, at the time, you don't think that's a great thing, but I have always had a job, whether it's cleaning toilets. In college, I thought I might want to get into healthcare,
Hmm.
and a guy had an opening at the funeral home, and he said he will pay me to be on call. My ears are already perked. Pay me to be on call, and I would, even if I didn't have to get out of bed or go do anything. But if I got out of bed to go do anything, I was going to go pick up a dead body.
Wow.
So yeah, I remember that job vividly. I worked there 6 months and had a pager. I'm sure I don't think Andrew, you might not even know what a pager is, but it was
Vaguely, vaguely.
before cell phones and things like that. And I always had that pager on my nightstand. And I've always been a pretty light sleeper. And I remember that pager, bzz, 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 and it was a pretty bad feeling for so many different reasons.
Right.
3 o'clock in the morning, I now have to put on a suit, and I now know I'm got to go pick up a dead body.
Oh gosh.
We'll listen to people cry and boo hoo, and it could be at someone's house, a nursing home, hospital, and see all that and experience all that. So, anyways, long story short, but he had me paying me when I'm sleeping.
Hmm.
Um, Worked at gas stations, worked at different things. I've always really done that. Even in college, I joined the National Guard to help with college and had several different jobs, including Burco Manufacturing here in Conway. Worked
Yep.
in the accounting department.
My
Was
brother
up.
actually worked there for a
Oh,
time.
really?
Internship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was this again?
Well, this is my brother, younger
Okay.
brother who was I think his internship right out of college. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I had. So
okay.
I interned for Verco. They had me in their accounting department. Um, so just kind of really learning everything. When I got in college, the first job that I really had that I thought, "Ooh, I like this. Like
Mm.
this is interesting." I had an internship with Merrill Lynch
Okay.
down in Little Rock, and I wasn't for sure if I was going to major in accounting, finance. Took a few accounting classes, and I thought, I don't know about all this stuff. Like this may not be for me. But I took this internship at Merrill Lynch and basically talked about just finances and stocks and mutual funds and investing. I just kind of fell in love with it.
Hmm.
Um, Now, what they had with me is they had me for free. They'd give me lunch every now and then. So I wasn't really making a whole lot with them, but I was learning at that point prospecting,
Mhm.
and then just to, overall business. So prospecting, marketing, business. Um, and so at the end of college, I became a financial advisor for a company called AG Edwards. I was based out of St. Louis. It's gone now. I think he sold it to somebody, Wells Fargo or something like that. But anyways, I did that for several years. Had no real plan of anything besides that. My life was going to be a financial advisor. Had no interest in anything else. I had the next 10, 15, 20 years planned,
Wow.
how much money I was going to make, how many cut, all the stuff figured out. My whole life was planned.
Yeah.
Um, and it was the big tech bubble happened. And at the end of the tech bubble, things kind of blew up. Everything went south. I saw people lose lots of money, and then eventually got out of the industry. Uh, after that point, I'd always, uh, even in college, I think it was my junior year, I bought a house. in college over there by UCA on Sim Street, right behind where all the fraternities are now.
Yep.
I bought a little house, 2-bedroomer. This was before, they've got a bunch of real estate terms now, BR or BRR or house hack and,
Right.
all these cool words. I had a house and I had another room and I had a living room. And so I rented the other room and I thought that was great. And then I rented my living room out and that was even better. And I was living rent free, had money coming out of my ears, and just, man, it was just a good time. That was my first real estate investment. I
Mm,
didn't even know it was a real estate investment, didn't know I was house hacking. And then got married. And that's when I became a financial advisor. So I kind of started in real estate investing there, but I
yeah.
never claimed to be a real estate investor. It was a side job, an accident. And then it was near UCA. So we decided my wife didn't like the house that much. She wanted a new house. So we moved from there and I thought, you know what? I'll just keep this house. Like I'll do it as a rental. It's near UCA and I'll just figure this stuff out. And so really at the age of probably 21, 22, I accidentally became a real estate investor,
Okay.
really just as a means to have a place to live and then also generate income when I saw extra space for rent. And so, yeah, running down the financial services road and that kind of blew up. And then I took some other odds and ends jobs, some in equipment financing, some consumer financing jobs, really kind of just bounced around. But the whole time I was kind of continuing to build a little bit of a real estate portfolio. Um, this was continuing out of, I forget how many properties I had, 20, 30, 40. I really, it's been a while, so I don't really know, but I was just focused on buying houses around Conway. I always looked mostly in the downtown UCA kind of markets. Like there's always going to be, you're near the hospital, you're near 2 or 3 colleges. Like, if I know what I know today, then I would have bought everything I possibly could have
Mm,
because I was buying houses for 60, 70, 80, 90 grand.
wow.
They were renting, just as quick as you can get them on the market. Um, but yeah, I had several jobs along the way. 2008 happens, and that's the next big crisis, the real estate meltdown. Now,
Yep.
again, I don't see any gray hair in your head. So you might have been a young pup, but
Yep.
the real estate meltdown was severe. People were losing their homes. You turn on the news at night and banks were going out of business. The government was having to inject all kinds of money everywhere. Well, there was an opportunity in Northwest Arkansas on a big package of duplexes.
Hmm.
And I was just over the moon. I thought, okay, $37 a square foot, Rogers, Arkansas, near Pinnacle. I can buy these duplexes. They're already full. They're built for $37 a square foot, and got all the way up to closing. And about a week or two before I closed on this deal, it's going to be by far my largest deal ever. Uh, it blew up. The whole
Wow.
deal blew up. The bank pulled out. Couple investors I had were kind of like, it's fine. Let's just go do something else. Personally, I was more devastated. I
Mhm.
just saw this huge opportunity that I'd put a lot of time and focus into. It just really blew up right in front of my face. And I thought, crap, like kind of took me a few weeks to kind of sulk around a little bit. And the next thing I know, I forget I'm doing financing and just different jobs. But the next thing I know, I get a call out of the blue and said, "Hey, would you have any interest in a storage facility over here in Conway? A guy's going through a divorce, looking to sell it, 140 units. And would you have any interest?" I'm like, don't know anything about storage. It sounds like people just putting junk in these units. They need to get rid of it. Um, like, what's going on over there? Long story short, I bought it thinking, okay, it's got some decent income coming in here. I may just bulldoze this whole property and build something else. It was a good piece of property. And as I started operating that business, I had rentals. There weren't many opportunities. Getting a job, getting any kind of loans, you could forget. Like it was a rough. How old was I? golly, trying to think how old I was, 25, 30 range.
Mhm.
But well, it was a very, very difficult time. I really don't know how I got the loan. I don't really know how I got my loan for my first house, if I'm being honest with you.
Well.
But I got a loan to buy this property, had a couple partners, and as I'm operating it, it really was a lot different than what I had expected. I'm getting to know my tenants. I'm getting to know my customers. Um, the property was about 50% occupied. It really just by me, honestly, no training, answering my phone, calling people, you owe me. This is how much you owe me. Um, Taking care of the property, picking up trash, cleaning things. I did some improvements, painted some stuff, put some new doors in. Really, in about 6 months, I was completely 100% full. And as
Well.
I was doing it, number one, the finances was working well. And number two, I'm kind of learning my customers. And it's like every customer, and I just started learning a lot about people too. Like they're going through some kind of transition,
Hmm.
death, divorce, kid going to college, putting mother in a nursing home, remodeled a house. Um, my parents died, and that's everything that they had, and I'm not ready to get rid of it yet. Or yeah, I mean, had a tornado go through Mayflower, and what am I going to do with this stuff that I actually can still save? I need to put that into storage. Or I'm operating a small business. I've got a painting company, and I can't go pay rent somewhere that's $1,000 or $2,000 a month, but I could rent a storage unit for $100.
Mhm.
And I'm just listening and kind of going, this is a lot different than what I expected. And so with that, we kind of came across uh, kind of built a purpose statement, enthusiastically serving others through the transitions of life the way Christ served us, which was also a missing piece because in business, I had my faith on the weekends, had my friends over here, but then honestly at work, it's just make money. Like
Hmm.
that's all I can see. How much money can I make today? And it probably was worse when you're a financial advisor and that's your whole goal. I got to produce X numbers. I got to have this many clients. I want to make this much money. Like I could care less about everything else. It's really the first time I'd actually connected work to purpose
Hmm.
and put some values together with what are we trying to get done each and every day, which is so easy to get lost in trying to make a living, or trying
Well.
to run a business. It's very difficult. So that was really cool. And so with that, it's like these friendships started forming, these camaraderie starts forming of, man, this is what we're doing. Yeah, we're in this boring storage business, but even in this boring business, we can build relationships, we can disciple, we could bring someone in that's maybe some of the previous people you've known. You bring them in and they might have not have any skill set whatsoever. They may be afraid to talk on a phone. And we get about 50 or 60,000 calls a year. So you're going to get really good at resolving conflict. You're going to get really good at asking people to be responsible and make their payments. You're going to be put into some situations that you're going to have to serve when somebody just poo-pooed on your head.
Well.
So all of these things are we're able to teach people. Um, and so that's really like the last 10 or 15 or 20 years. It started with 140 units, one facility. I had no plan. I had no dream. I had no business plan of what I was going to try to do. I was just trying to survive.
Mhm.
Uh, Really, I was just trying to survive. And so from that, though, it's turned into a wonderful opportunity. The Lord's blessed us. A lot of really good memories here, a lot of good friends. I've got a picture wall up in our office, and it just has a lot of people who've used to work here and now they're doing something different. But just all of the different relationships that we formed and the customers that we get to take care of and serve through transitions when we're in the right frame of mind and when we do what our purpose and we live that out, it really is very meaningful what we get to do each and every day. So
Hmm.
that's kind of a little bit of a nutshell of what I've done the last, I guess, 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
Um, and really, besides this, and I know we're talking about U Storage today, we also have a property management company, and it has continued to grow as well. It's called Brick Property Management,
Okay.
and we have about 350 properties that we manage. Some we own, some we manage for others, and so still have kept that. But our main business and our business that's really grown over the last you know 10, 15 years have been U Storage. We did 9 deals last year. So
Wow.
last year was kind of a wild year. The business climate just really got really good last year for deals.
Mm,
Some people who got in real quick didn't really have all of the infrastructure, the operations, the purpose, and some of them were looking to get out. So it was a weaker market. So a market that we were able to kind of do some growth in.
wow. That's an incredible story. I mean, there's so many different threads I could pull on there. But what it sounds like as I'm hearing you talk about it, I mean, it sounds like the whole entrepreneurship thing was a little accidental for you. I mean, you were just trying to make a buck at the very beginning, like,
Trying to make a
but
dollar. Just trying to make a dollar.
yeah,
100%, just trying to make a dollar. You have a lot of financial goals. I don't know how everybody thinks, but when you get out of college, it's like, man, I got to start making money. Like
right.
that's what I'm doing. And honestly, too, like what I was sharing with you earlier about like my upbringing, like there was just a real need to make money. Like it wasn't
Sure.
like let me make money just to kind of have money, but it was just like, I need to make money. Like I had to pay for my own college. I had to pay for my own cars. I had to pay for my own dates.
Hmm.
I needed money. Like it wasn't like a little fun little, I could get it if I need it. Like I need this stuff,
Right.
um, kind of
Right.
thing. And I think I've
Um,
always carried that, but I do think I'm glad that everybody has to make a living, has to make money, but I'm glad that I found something that also has what I believe to be a little bit deeper depth to it with meaning and purpose
right.
besides profits and money.
Hmm.
But initially, that's all I was about.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you describe yourself as a visionary? I know that's kind of a particular question, but I
Oh,
always am curious about that for entrepreneurs who
you
kind of
know,
fell into it.
you have some good questions. I can see things,
Sure.
and I see things coming to be. I'm really I've read the book Traction.
Okay.
Uh, um, I struggle with some things because I see things, but then I'm also an implementer.
Sure.
Uh, but definitely have some vision. Definitely can see things maybe that others can't, or could see what could be. I think I'm pretty good at connecting dots.
Mm,
If this happens, and this happens, I think I'm pretty decent there. Casting the vision, articulating vision is probably a weak point for me.
okay.
But having vision to kind of see something how, we're doing a project at Hot Springs right now. Uh, and somebody showed me something in the beginning, and I knew pretty quickly what that would be. It would be a year storage. We would have an internal climate control facility. Like I see a vision like that. Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
so yes,
Yeah,
uh, yes, I have to say I have some of that.
totally, totally. No, that makes sense.
Articulating vision probably could be a weak point of mine. But yeah, seeing something before it's there, or seeing something how it could be, then I would say yes, sir.
Yeah. What did your parents do, for work, I guess?
Yeah. Again, did not grow up with money.
Right, right.
Dad was a carpenter. Mom
Okay,
cleaned houses.
okay. But both well, I guess I'm kinda digging at the did they both work for themselves in those jobs, or did they work for others?
My dad pretty much was working for other people. My
Okay.
mom would work as a cleaner,
Yeah,
um, with some other, four people. So really, neither one of them had. I had no formal business training.
sure.
Uh, Go run a business, go open a business. Um, the businesses that I had were just let me sell pecans, or let me mow your yard,
Right.
or I was always wheeling dealing. Let me buy this baseball card for $50 and sell it for $70. Like I started investing in stocks at 18 years old.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've always kind of seen how, yeah, money could work. And I think I've had a lot of that entrepreneurship kind of in me, but I really believe it was kind of initially really just a byproduct of I need to make
right.
money. Like
More necessity than anything, like,
100%
to
necessity.
yeah,
How can I
yeah,
make a buck today?
yeah. No, that makes
Who's
sense, that makes sense.
and I've told my kids is like I never once asked anyone a question. Um, what do you want me to do? And what's the purpose of this company? And what's the pay?
Yeah, yeah.
When people said, "Hey, I've got something," I said, "When can I get there?" Like
Wow.
that was just it's mowing the yard, it's raking a house, it's getting your gutters cleaned out, it's installing. I installed one time at a chicken plant the shelves and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, Used to sweep my uncle's shop out for $1 a day. So just if you were paying, I'm doing it. Like that's no enough said.
Yeah.
I never even asked for hourly rate, wage, or just if you were paying. I got my first check was $4.25 an hour working with a heating and air company, just doing all kinds of up in the attics and down. And I remember getting my first check and I thought I'd robbed them.
Yeah.
They're paying
Yeah.
4.25 an hour. It's just, the reason I want to kind of say that is I just think there's such a, and I see it in the young folks. So I'm
Right.
kind of making a point of this has to line up with my life purpose. This has to line up with my life goal. This has to meet all of my standards. And
Yep.
that's great. Like I think that's all well, but I do think sometimes you miss out on a lot of neat opportunities because at every position and every job that I've had, I've learned more through that job than I've ever learned, doing anything else. So it's like there's value in every job,
Yeah.
really value in every job. And so I just, again, I think this is more of a dad talk. So I apologize, Andrew,
This
but
is
I've got
great.
a couple sons, and I just see it in the younger folks of, everything's got to be right. The pay's got to be right. The hours have to be right. The schedule has to be right. It has to line up with my mission and purpose. And I'm not discounting any of those things,
Right.
but I think that there's a big, a big lesson in learning things at different jobs. So Kobe, my oldest son, and he would tell you this if he was here. I mentioned him to you earlier, but he worked
Hmm.
at David Burgers
Yeah.
in high school. And I was proud of him. So that's good. Like you're working on a team. You've got customer service skills. You got pressure to make a good product. You've got people probably sometimes nice to you, people probably not so nice to you. So like working around people and can I count on you to show up to work today? And just I just think there's so many valuable skills that I learned early on by just saying yes
Hmm.
to whatever came my way. And I really did not have any kind of life plan or vision. If
Totally.
anything, if I did, but it's completely opposite of what I'm doing today. My
Right.
first real vision I had, I think, is my vision of making millions of dollars as a stockbroker
Mm.
for the next 15, 20 years and just doing that. Like that was really my whole life plan. And
Hmm.
when that kind of blew up in my face, like, okay, like what am I supposed to do now? Like, this is weird.
Hmm.
So just saying yes. And that honestly, that's kind of what I've done with businesses. I mean, it's I think that's the reason I want to kind of harp on that so much is because that's really how I got into storage.
Yeah.
That's really how a lot of my opportunities. Um, a guy called me one day. Again, no plan. He said, "Do you want to do anything in Cersei?" I was like, Cersei's kind of yeah, I don't know about Cersei. It's kind of not that great." He said, "Well, my church has a building and it's an old Kohler plant and they're using the other part for their church. It's directly across the street from Harding. It's 100,000 square feet. We can buy this thing for $1 million. Next thing you know, I'm in Cersei. And so had no plan there. So it's just like, yes, this makes sense today. I'm going to do this today. This makes a lot of sense today. Uh, and honestly, too, I don't want to discount any like else, but like, you're constantly in prayer, like,
Yep.
Lord, where do you want me to go? But I mean, it just, when it all kind of came to be, it's like, and this is where I need to be. I get to buy this from the church and they were going through a little financial hardship. So
Hmm.
that helped them out, bless them. And then now we're directly across the street from Harding, and we're serving these college kids all the time in the whole community. And so it's just kind of neat how it kind of works itself out. But obviously through prayer, I've made some great decisions. I made some really dumb decisions. Um, but through all of that, it's just kind of been a process. And yeah, we do. Like, I mean, I don't need this kind. We have a vision for the company. We want to get up to 100 locations, and we have all this stuff here. But I always constantly tell my team and tell myself each and every day, like, loose hands here. Like
Yeah.
these are loose hands, and sometimes it's a business. We got to direct ourselves over here, or we got to change because the market changed. So like we're constantly having to evolve. Like you can't just have one big plan and call it a vision and vision cast, and then Like that's it. Like it's a constant little tweaks and nuances and new opportunities, new challenges, new threats.
Mhm.
That's always, but I think everything that I've done early on has helped get me to where I'm at today,
Yeah.
which a big part of that's just saying yes to the new opportunity.
I love that. I mean, I think, and I'm so glad that you added some of those nuggets in there, like you did, because it just the word that comes to mind is simplicity. Like that mentality just keeps it simple. And I'll just speak from my own story, and I think I'm representative of so many others who are probably in my generation. Um, and when you point that out, I'm like nodding along, like, yeah, there's definitely a change up in the way that I think Gen Z in particular kind of approaches work,
Mhm.
and
It's different.
it's
It's a
moved
lot different.
along. It's gone through different phases. Obviously,
Mhm.
millennials had their own thing, and that type of thing. But um, yeah, it's just really easy, even as an entrepreneur, even if you're not in a traditional job anymore. It's easy to overthink things and try to have it all figured out before you jump, and before you just start acting, and before you
Right.
you say yes. And I sense that tendency in myself, and sometimes I'm not sure what to do with that, but I think it's a growth area for me, and it's confirming as I talk to folks like you. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just the other thing I think about that I was reflecting on last night, actually, in my own journey is, and I say this just because I think it might be helpful for others listening as well. Um, but the difference between grasping and positioning in business. So, like,
Mhm.
defining a vision or defining some perfect plan for the future and holding on so tightly and grasping for that, and there's all this pressure and this forward motion that you feel like, and there's this stress,
Right.
versus defining something that is looser and saying, especially if you're a woman of faith, it's like, Lord, I'm going to position myself in a place where you could bless me with this, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
focus on. But I'm also
Yeah.
not going to stress over like this exact outcome that's
Yeah.
that's that's coming, or that I want to come.
That you've almost kind of created.
Right, right. And so that's just what I'm hearing you say. I think it's a really good reminder and something for people to keep in mind, and honestly would take a lot of stress off some young people, I think, if they
Yeah, I think
started to
so.
see it through that
Yeah.
lens. So
Yeah.
that's great. Um, but I'm curious now, I guess, to continue to talk about entrepreneurship a little bit more, just generally. You've worked in various roles. You've worked in a vast number of jobs, and you've ended up working for yourself. I
Mhm.
guess you kind of stumbled into the investor role, and then kind of continue to work that, but then have continued to really just be an entrepreneur. When you compare the two paths, where people are thinking really simplistically about doing a W-2 job and doing a more entrepreneurial path, there might be some listening who are really thinking about going into business for themselves and taking that leap of faith. What about entrepreneurship for you appeals to you, and why, like, in reflection, I know that you kind of stumbled into it, but why would you
Mhm.
choose that now over anything else?
Yeah. That is and it's full of good questions. I would say I like the parts that I like about being an entrepreneur is being creative,
Sure.
uh, and kind of charting your own path, so to speak. Um, Seeing something come to be. I've had some W-2 jobs. Probably one of my least favorite jobs. I worked at Lowe's for a little
Okay.
bit. It's just stocking shelves and, you know, think very, very menial kind of things that would just I've also punched holes in boxes with cardboards and things like that. So something that's so repetitive to me, I think has kind of wanted me to be an entrepreneur. And I like challenges. I like to be a critical thinker, solve problems, make things happen. So those are the things to me, like being an entrepreneur, you get those opportunities, like to have an
Mm,
effect on people. Um, you can just kind of be creative. I think that's the freedom that you have.
yeah.
Now, you and I both know a lot of the challenges that come with business ownership. Um, and there's some days I just wish I had a W-2 job and could go home and like relax and chill. And then I know myself, and I know that that's just not my wiring. Like I don't think it is at this point. Like I'm made to do what I'm doing. I need to do this. But even in that, I don't know how much of a difference it actually is as much as we think that it is, but I think it's more of a mindset.
Mm,
So whether I'm working for you, whether I'm working for me, whether I'm an investor, I think for me, something I've learned over the years is really actually what I am in any of those roles is a steward.
Yeah.
And so when I keep that mindset for me personally, whether it's an investor who gives us some money to invest into a project, or it's an employee that gives us his time and needs to work here, like in all of those different really capacities, beyond am I an entrepreneur, or beyond am I a W-2, or do I own my own business, or do I work for the guy, or whatever it is, like I think there's something. I boxed all of that stuff in early on in my career. Don't want to tell you my exact dates, but I might be turning 50 this year. And I think that's a concept that I've come to know. And it's at any point I need to be led. I need to be able to lead. And above all things, I'm a steward of my time, my resources, the people. And that really looks the same whether you work at U Storage,
Mm,
you own a U Storage. Um, it really is the same deal. And really, ownership has so much more weight and responsibility and duties than just working somewhere. So, in a lot of ways, you can feel entrapped as an owner because
mhm.
the weight of the business is on you. So I know some people think it's freedom,
Yeah.
but to them, it's a trap. It's like, oh my gosh, like I've got all these bills, I've got all these responsibilities. These people are depending on me to pay their mortgage this month. Hey, I've got customers to take care of. Like the weight could be really intense at times.
Mm,
So if I keep it the right perspective for me, and I'm just speaking for me, whether I'm an entrepreneur, and I am an entrepreneur, the Lord has made me this. So I'm too old now to be changing it up.
yeah.
Uh, One day maybe I'll work for a guy and just be happy as a clown. Um, but, yeah, just that steward mindset. When I wake up and I'm a steward, then it's all good. When I wake up and think of different things, and sometimes my day can be wrecked, or I have bad perspective on the day.
Mm,
And so, yeah, just trying to keep that mindset. But the Lord has definitely made me an entrepreneur. I think it's a lot of my upbringing and kind of what He's also put into me too, because I think it's part of some people are wired for this stuff, and
yeah.
some people try it and it's like, I've talked to more people recently, like, I'd really just work for somebody. Like,
Sure.
I don't want to do entrepreneurship. Like, well, that's weird. Cause growing up, I always thought that was like everybody wanted to be an entrepreneur. I
Sure.
don't know. It's as big as it used to be.
What do you think that is? When I mean, you're a people master at this point. I feel like, and definitely get the sense, like,
Yeah,
because
I
of
don't
all
know about a people master.
but
I
but
don't know about people master. I believe that part of it is if you go back to the original, small business, almost everybody used to have a small business,
yeah,
arms you know, or creative. Like everyone had a little entrepreneurship to me feels like it's way down.
yeah,
And I believe a lot of people grew up like the way I grew up, or even worse or older. Like, man, you just kind of have to do this. Like everybody just kind of has to. So it wasn't like a decision. I'm going to go and be an entrepreneur. Like we are entrepreneurs. Like I own a farm.
yeah,
Uh, there's a lot of, you can run a farm, you can run anything.
yeah,
Um, so I think it was just in the upbringing. And then now I think it's like a direction in life, or a sought after position. And some people that get into it, I believe don't really have a clue what they're even wanting to sign up for. Like,
right,
it's like, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want the responsibilities, the weight of something." But it's an awesome thing. And I think more people should in any capacity, whether it's mowing yards, whether it's a little side clothing business. I get excited when my kids do little entrepreneurship things, invest in stocks, or one of my sons buys shoes and sells them. Like, that's, man, everybody should be able to create
yeah,
income.
yeah,
Like, whether it's part-time, full-time, weekends, like, be creative, because I believe most people, um, are wired for something, and
mhm,
a job could do everything you could do, but there also could be something else that you could be doing with it, be very small, not a big thing. It could just be a side thing. Like, that
Mhm.
people could do. So I'm encouraging people to get into entrepreneurship. But maybe it looks different for everybody. Maybe it's a sole kind of business and you're the person, um, but I think part of it's just upbringing. Like,
Yeah.
I think people used to was more natural because it really wasn't, it was just really more of a function of money. Like our
Totally.
society, like you needed money to operate. And most people were, were interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You
And I
know,
still
you'll
think they are. I just think it's turned into a bigger, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go jump out here and go do this. Meanwhile, you could just set a business up tomorrow and start painting or
Right.
consulting or offering coaching or let me take care of your dogs this afternoon. Like
Yep.
the millions of businesses. One more side note. Um, guess who does that? When guess who start most of the businesses? You probably know
Mm.
this.
Like a specific group of people?
Mhm,
Immigrants?
mhm,
Yeah, that's what I was thought you were going with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I believe it.
So one of the best people I know are immigrants.
Yeah.
For example, my painter comes up and really the only thing he knows how to do is paint. And now he probably has 10 or 15, 20 painters,
Yep.
probably one of the larger paint companies in Conway. And
Yep.
he's, he's got a great business. And so really that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about right there.
I love it. I
It's
love it.
that, I mean, and I was one of his first customers. He still paints for me today, but it was him and his wife in the beginning.
I
Just him and
love
his
that.
wife.
It's reminiscent of another conversation I had earlier this week actually with somebody else, and it's a friend of mine who is actually getting married to a Mexican guy, and she spent some time in Mexico, kind of in advance of the wedding, getting to know, like kind of setting up shop there, and she's living with the family at this point. But just an interesting situation for her. But when she was coming back and visiting here in Chicago, and we hung out a little bit, a group of us hung out the other night, and she was reflecting on some of the stuff she's learned in Mexico. And I just bring this up because it's exactly what you said. But her fiance, her future husband here, they're talking about like starting a coffee shop down there or whatever. And she was just describing how easy it is for her fiance to think about just start,
Good.
just
Yeah,
take what
good,
you've got and let's go
good.
for it. And where
Yeah,
she's thinking like almost a little bit analysis paralysis, like we got to have this big thing planned
right.
out. Like what do we do? And he's like, we have a little coffee machine. Let's just go sell some at church. Let's just start
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
And it's just it was so refreshing. It goes back to some of what
Mhm.
we were just talking about
Yeah.
as well.
That's right.
And it's just I don't know. I think we've got our handcuffs when we think too long term. We think
Mhm.
too future focused,
You
and
big.
it's
Like, it's almost like,
we don't know if we have tomorrow either. So
yeah,
um, I like that. The other thing
yeah.
I think you'll get a kick out of that I've said a couple times on this podcast, but it just continues to come up in these conversations, and I do think it just is relevant here. But you mentioned how you think entrepreneurship is a little bit on the decline, and I don't know, for whatever reason, who knows why that is. But one thing that I have noticed recently is I guess I was reading the biography of Benjamin Franklin,
Mhm,
and getting into that book, really enjoying it, and obviously he's a very complicated character. There's a lot to learn about him. But one
mhm.
thing that stuck out like a sore thumb was just the fact that he was an entrepreneur. And I got to thinking, I think, and thinking and reflecting on my own upbringing as well, and how we were just encouraged to go and do things and start things and there was just this emphasis on we have this privilege in the United States of doing that. And
Yeah.
I got to thinking, I think that's one thing in a world of so much division and like especially in the political world and sometimes it's hard to tell which way is up. That's one way that I feel like is a little bit easier to unite on. That Americans fundamentally have this entrepreneurial
Mhm.
spirit, and
Yeah.
I don't know, not everybody. And again,
Yeah.
we see it on the decline. I think I saw Tony Robbins talking about it, and he was like, "This is why all the young people are turning communist because they don't know how to own a business." Like
That's right.
that's the other
Yeah.
side of it. But I just
They see the allure to socialism because it's like, we'll
right,
all just get the same. So
right.
no reason to go out here and try to do anything today.
Yeah, I just love coming
But
back
then
to
the
that. Like,
Cubans,
you know,
I went to Cuba a few years ago,
yeah.
and they would they die to come to America for a
So
chance
yeah,
to be an entrepreneur, you know?
such a good
Yeah.
perspective for us to have.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
talked to a guy in Cuba. I went down there on a mission trip, and he was a taxi driver, and that was like best job you can ever get in Cuba. It's taxi driver. Here
Wow.
we don't think of a taxi driver as all that great. He's like, I'm
Right.
a taxi driver. So he had a permit from the country to be a taxi driver. Couldn't talk bad about anything, couldn't say anything political. They pull his permit, but he said, "Man, I would die to come to America and be able to just have the opportunity to buy houses and buy stuff and do stuff and be creative and all this stuff." And again, that's the reason. I think it's because typically when you have a supply,
Mhm.
for me, I had a
Yeah.
shortage of money. So that created that entrepreneurship. But sometimes a kid who has enough
Right.
doesn't need to go out here and make 50 bucks today
Yep.
because I'm not going to miss anything with that 50 bucks. And so I do think there is some things like that too. It's like, hey, parents don't quelch entrepreneurship in your kids,
Right.
because if you give them too many things, then there's no shortage of things and they won't be creative.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
So I
love
don't
it.
know.
I love it. It's great. It's
I
been
don't
some
know.
good parent
I
advice as well.
don't deal with my kids. Um, I don't know if either one of them be entrepreneurs, but they've all done entrepreneurial things. They have done some, let me go out here and do this. I've tried to be very careful, like, hey, don't give you too much. Like, I need you to kind of have some hustle in you. Um, and so just something, but I believe, uh, in older times in America, I think most people just got brought up with that like mindset and they would just say yes to things that came up and it really wasn't a plan. It was just like, that's what we need to do. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I need to do. I'll take 5 cows if I can make money off this stuff. Like I'll milk them or, what, what, whatever. I need to pay
totally.
my bills.
Yep, yep. No, that's great. Yeah, it's really good for us to reflect on these things, and I get a kick out of it. Hope you do as well.
Oh yeah.
I went down a tangent there, but
Yeah.
going back to I really wanted to ask you about the steward thing as well. I
Yeah.
love how you described kind of that overarching theme that
Mhm.
you have come upon at some point in your life, and just kind of realized this is who I am. Um, I also love the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Are you familiar with that
Yeah.
book? I
Yeah.
mean, that is like a Gen Z book to the max
Mhm.
in terms of what we were
Yeah.
just talking about. Like that's one of
I
those
love
things
that
that's
stuff.
like
I work with young folks and I would say, I mean, not, I don't want to knock some of the things because
right,
there are some
right.
really, even in my son Kobe, like he has a moral compass in him.
Yeah,
Like it's like he'll look at stuff differently than I will, and some of it's much better.
yeah,
Honestly, like there are some things that he's like, well, I don't want to buy that product because it was made by cheap labor somewhere. They took advantage of somebody. I'm like, huh? Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's a product. I'm not worried about all that stuff. Like, I'm buying it. And so, I mean, there are some things that I believe they look at things differently and a little bit deeper
yeah.
than some of the older folks. So it's not, I'll say this, I don't want to bash that age group on any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of really good things that I think
Mhm.
is coming out of millennials and Gen Zs. It's just different. And so it's
Yeah,
like, there are some really good things. Like, they are more purpose driven,
right, right.
I believe. And I think that can be good. Like
Mhm.
there's a bunch of that's good. There
Yep,
can be some of it that could go too far,
sure.
and then you start getting lost because you're thinking there's this magical, mystical thing you're supposed to be doing instead of doing what's right here in front of you.
Yep, yep.
And if I just do what's in front of me, then my next 5 opportunities kind of take care of themselves because I was a steward of that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's great. I guess, yeah, I was gonna just ask you along those lines. I mean, what would you add anything to that idea of it being a steward? I also heard earlier, and we'll talk about youth stories some more, but I
Mhm.
think, the idea of shepherding people through the transitions or leading people through the
Yeah.
transitions of life being a kind of a purpose statement for the business. Is there
Mhm.
something when you look at all the different ventures that you are a part of, is there something else that you would add to that in terms of your own personal kind of mission statement, vision statement, or um,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a relationship person,
okay,
so I want to make sure people are taken care of.
yeah,
Uh, Customers, our employees, uh, people who invest money with us, our bankers that make us loans. I just want to make sure that we do well by people. That when we lay down at night, we've done well by somebody. We
well,
might not have told them everything they want to hear, but we don't try to do gimmicky things. There's a lot of businesses that offer real gimmicky kind of products and services. We don't try to hide things from people. We try to be full disclosure. Sometimes we have to hold people's feet to the fire.
yeah,
So, like you have to pay your bills, like to continue this service. Like we can't just let you have this for free. But in everything that I'm doing, relationship building.
Yeah.
Um, because at the end of the day, like for me, you have the money, you can have all the stuff, but like if you've never really mentored someone, invested in someone, like a big kick for me is to see somebody who comes to use storage and maybe they're afraid to even answer the phone at first. And we got a guy that's about to go to Florida State on some graduate program deal, and he has grown so much here. He does all of these high finance programs for us, but also just listen to him. He works at our call center and just talking to people, like he has learned so much. And I think he'll call me in 3 or 4 or 5 years once he's in something that says, man, that job that I had for you for $15 an hour that I was just kind of doing to get through college, those skills that I learned there actually helped me
Wow.
get this new job that I got because I had that job and I could actually interact with people and work with people and resolve conflict and serve customers. So just if you take the relationship part out of it,
Hmm.
I think I would probably be ready to be just sell it, move on to something different. Uh, to be honest with you, because the
That makes
money
sense.
runs out pretty quick. Like that's just like, you
Hmm.
don't have money, you want money, you have money, you're trying to keep money. It's cool, and it's a big thing. Like I don't want to discount money, but at the end of the day, if there's nothing else, it can be pretty cold and lonely and just meaningless.
Yeah.
So people and all the drama of people and all the complexities of people. And Dave Ramsey says it the best. He says people are your biggest. I think he says you probably know better than me, but biggest problem and headache and cost, but also your what does he say? He said something really good about people. Basically, they're your biggest headache, but they're your biggest asset.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
No,
And
that
he never,
makes.
because it's true. It's like they're a big cost, they're a big headache, but man, they're your biggest asset.
Mm, yeah.
So
If you master people, I feel like, or you get good at relating to people, you can do a lot. I feel like,
yeah.
for sure. Um, Broadly speaking, as a business owner, for all the years you've been doing this, I'm sure you've run into plenty of snags along the way where you've been like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Oh
Where
yeah.
have you turned for resources, books, seminars, like
Yeah.
consultants? What are some little nuggets you could share with people who are listening about
Uh,
that?
Man, any entrepreneur, or business owner, or just really anybody, eventually you kind of get dry. Sometimes it's plugging in different things like what you're offering to people. Like, let me hear something from someone else. Let me be invested into. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, you kind of sometimes give a lot. Like I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of myself, but man, if nothing's getting poured back into me,
Mm,
eventually I'll be dry. So just relationships, podcast, books. I'm reading a book right now. Because at some point we all get just tired or, I don't want to do this or I don't want to push today or whatever. But people around you, books, podcast, those are good sources. Sometimes a trip to
mm.
me. Um, be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. Like sometimes when I go to Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. You're like, or even like, just a different area. Northwest Arkansas is very creative,
Yeah.
or Chicago be very creative. So it's like getting out of my area just to sometimes see some different new ideas.
Mhm.
Sometimes I want to even implement the different ideas, but it's like exposing myself to different things. It's like, oh wow, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
You get excited about seeing something new or seeing something different. Um, Sometimes those are really, really motivational for me to see, oh wow, okay, like I'm just a small fish in a big pond over here. Let me
Right.
keep whittling away at this thing for a little bit, And
Totally.
it's like motivating, challenging, but then also just exciting.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite business book or favorite business author that you have
Um,
learned from?
Yeesh, I don't know if I have one favorite one. I've read a lot of really good books. One
Mhm.
and we do book club here at Your Storage in the fall, typically.
Okay.
One that I would probably highly recommend to everybody is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm,
I know it's kind of old school, but if you can't get past that book and start using some of those techniques to interact with people, um, he just does a really good job. Dale Carnegie, I think so, the initial author, and he just does a really good job of just your basic conversations and how to look at things in business terms And so a lot of the things that we even do, how we answer the phone
Oh,
comes
wow.
from that. Like, hey, we don't want to talk about ourselves all the time. When a customer calls, what do they care about? They care about their needs. So what do we need to do? We need to ask them, how can we serve you?
Hmm.
Uh, so just I would put that one up there. But I've had
Yeah.
a lot of really good books that I've read. I don't know that I have one particular author. Um, Good to Great was a good one.
Yep.
This one, Positive Leadership, I'm reading right now is really good. The one Nick Saban on, I did leadership, business. Um, I've had a lot of good books. I've done some on investing. Those are typically not, it's like, it's a concept, or it's like, it's a, investing changes so often. It's like whatever was hot last year may not be hot this year. So
Mm.
I discount some of those kind of books, but leadership I love, business I love, culture I love, um, strategy, and just also just like, I mean, a lot of podcasts. I mean, there's a lot of really good podcasts that just really teach you different skills that you, I mean, like even this conversation today, like there could be somebody who's could learn, they may be
Right.
early 20s and they may be like, you know what, that actually helped me quite a bit. Like
Oh, yeah.
listening to that and hearing that, because they may or may not have entrepreneur parents, or they may have no one in their circle. So just exposing yourself to different things like that, I think really helps out. We try to use storage once a year as a company, kind of go through a book.
Hmm. I love that. The company I was most recently a part of, actually, before I jumped out on my own, we did the same thing, and it was just so powerful to do that as a team, and good for team dynamics too. Just
Yeah,
doing something like that together. It was
100%.
super cool. I think.
What did
I
you
think.
get out of it? What am I getting out of it? I could
Yep.
miss a whole big thing that, like, oh wow, you saw something I didn't see, or you got something I didn't get.
Yeah.
So
I bet you're a bigger pockets guy. Are you?
like bigger pockets.
Okay.
And best ever. There's bigger pockets and there's best ever.
Oh, okay.
That's in real estate. Um,
Okay.
I actually went to a couple of their conferences in Salt Lake City, and that's the kind of thing I'm when I say go somewhere. Sometimes like I went out there and they, taught me all kinds of different stuff, and met a few guys that are doing some really cool stuff in Nashville, Tennessee, or different places. Like, wow, that's kind of exciting. And I think a lot of us just almost need a little motivation,
Hmm.
and what's going to motivate you. Um, and sometimes like just seeing something that could be like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this could be something for us. This could be something for me. And so what could be?
Yeah. I feel like you could be a bigger pockets guest here pretty quick. I mean,
I don't
even
know.
ever one is good.
Yeah, I may should reach out to them. They may should reach out to me, but I've never done it. I've had a friend. Did you know JD Gray by any chance?
Doesn't ring a bell. He an Arkansas
So
guy?
JD, I think he was on one of their episodes, and I thought it was fabulous. Yeah, he did a really
Okay.
good job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
He's a
great.
real
That's
estate
great.
guy here in town.
I think that Zach Hendricks is another good example of some guy who it would be cookie cutter, exactly what they're looking for. That kind of that
100%.
kind of guy,
It's
like.
real. It's real world stuff. Like not just concepts, but practical, like really things that are really happening, and how can I use these tools in whatever it is that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm always most drawn to. It's like my wife likes to read all these crazy books.
Mhm.
I like to read something that's going to like teach me something.
Sure.
Like that's
Practical.
what I want to learn. How's this
Hmm.
going to help me? If I'm not being taught something, I'd rather just go fishing or bike riding or running or
Yep.
do something fun. Reading
Understand.
reading is like, I didn't be learning something here.
Yep.
She's the exact opposite. She's like, I don't want to learn anything when I read. I just want to be enjoying it. I'm like, we're different.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm so curious. Let's move talking about U storage a little bit more specifically. I think you
Yeah.
mentioned several nuggets along the way here. Obviously, grown to 24 locations in a relatively short period of time. I mean, huge milestone, huge year last year. Sounds like. What separates U storage from other storage companies? What do you think is the secret sauce? I mean, don't share your trade secrets, but like,
Sure.
just on a general level, like what do you think is different, and why have you been able to be so successful so
Yeah.
quickly?
Great question. I would boil it down to we care. I care and we care.
Mm,
So I care about the business. I care about customers. Um, we put a lot of focus on customer care, being honest, operating in it with integrity, trying to offer a good product, good service. Like we care, like we actually care.
Hmm.
Some of the larger companies, some, like they can all run a business the way they can, but I feel like they really kind of play games with customers, and I really don't know if they actually really care, which
Yeah.
our purpose statement forces us to care.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so enthusiastically serve others through their transitions of life where Christ served us. So I believe it's that. And I believe when we do that, then there's nobody really that's even a competitor of ours.
Mm.
Vision is we'd like to become the best company in the world at enthusiastically serving others through their transitions of life. And so that doesn't mean we're going to be the largest storage company. That doesn't mean we're going to make the most profit, but that means that we're going to be the best at that right there. And
Hmm.
so I really believe in everything that we do in pricing, in caring for our customers. And we have our own internal call center. So when you call the store, you don't even know you're not talking to somebody. We try to answer all of our calls very quickly. And we try to take care of whatever issue might be arise in that customer with one call. So
Hmm.
we put a lot of focus, and then we surround ourselves with servant-minded entrepreneurs. So they don't need it. There's not a big bureaucratic business here. Like
Hmm.
they make decisions. It's done. If it's waiting this, if it's doing this, whatever it is, we're trusting them to run the business
Yeah.
in that moment in real time, not, going through 20 steps to do something. And
Yeah.
so we just trust our people and we care for our customers.
Yeah. If it's okay to share, I mean, is it a franchise model at all? Like is there? I mean, I'm thinking
Yeah.
this location expansion, like thinking Chick-fil-A almost,
Yeah.
but is it anything
Yeah.
like that?
I looked at a couple of different models
Hmm.
on franchising. Um, in this business, it's a lot more common. A franchise is just a lot of legal. It was
Yeah.
just too legal. It was too legally for me, if I'm just being brutally honest. Like I
Sure.
looked at it, it's like I just don't think this is for me. I don't think this is what I'm shooting for here. Um, and so what we offer um, to others is we could property manage for them.
Hmm.
So a lot of people get into storage just like I got into some of my previous businesses. I just want to make money. Sounds like a good investment. I just want to make money. But they don't have everything that we have, or they're really small and they don't put the details into answering calls, getting good ratings, making sure your facilities working and maintained properly, getting getting people to bought into your culture where they're actually caring for customers. And so it's easier for us instead of doing a franchise to offer property management, and we
Hmm.
just do it for you.
I see. And
So
so,
I'm not teaching you how to do it. I'm just going to do it for you. And you just give me the asset.
hmm,
So you give me a storage facility. We convert it to a used storage. We've done it. We started last year with one. So we're hoping to really start ramping up and growing that. But you give us the asset and we do the work.
hmm.
And then you just pay us a fee basically to do the work. And it's just like it's a used storage.
Yeah, I mean, help me understand that a little bit. I'm slightly confused on that, I guess. But is there an actual sale that takes place with these new locations? I guess. Like, are you
A
saying that?
sale?
Well, I'm talking like when you say property manage,
Mhm.
it sounds like you're almost managing that property for another owner
That's correct.
who allows who maybe you lease from at that
Nope.
point.
We
Oh,
just signed a service agreement.
okay.
It's basically a contract. Like we're going to
Yeah,
take over the management and we're going to manage your property for you. I believe it's basically we're providing the management services for
I
you.
see. I see.
You're the owner of the property,
Right.
which another thing is kind of weird. I sat down with Alan Kaiser at Chick-fil-A and we shared notes. And
Hmm.
I mean, Chick-fil-A is a total different model. Like it's really not even a franchise model. It's an
Right.
operator model.
I know.
Uh,
Yeah.
it kind of blew my mind, but I was like, you don't really own the business and you really don't own the real estate. And
Right.
you don't have any of the risk here. You know, it's an operator franchise. You're really not a franchise. You're really
It's
an
a
operator.
glorified manager position.
It's a manager position.
Turnkey
It's
operation.
correct.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous for Chick-fil-A. But for me, I just wanted to I didn't really want to get into all the franchise business. I just wanted to offer property management, which also is it's more common in this industry. And so
Yeah.
we're offering our services to others who want to become a used storage, wants the brand, wants the purpose, and the way that we do the U Storage way, basically, and then we would just operate their business for them.
Got it. Got it. Wow. So, yeah, no, that's and then you would install your people, some of the
Whole thing.
processes,
Yeah.
branding, yeah,
Yeah.
everything. And
Accounting,
that's just
finance, everything.
I guess that it's for those people who maybe consider themselves more investment minded or want out of their operation
Correct.
currently, though that's the golden opportunity for them
Yep.
to still be making money,
Yep.
and really come into a really flourishing business that you have, but
That's right.
not have any operational responsibility at that
You
point,
sound
right?
like a pretty good sales job. Are you available?
Me?
I want your pitch back there. Are you available for hire?
That's so funny.
I like the way you pitch that. Yeah, I like the way you pitch that.
Nice, nice. Okay, okay. That's hilarious. No, I'm just trying to understand, but it sounds
Yeah,
it
no,
sounds
that's great.
compelling.
Yeah,
Um,
they basically turn over the asset to us. We do all of the work, and they reap the ownership rewards.
Got it, got it.
Obviously, if the investment is successful and we're successful at what we're trying to do.
The reason I bring up Chick-fil-A is because I don't remember if we had talked about this in any emails or you'd seen it anywhere in any of my stuff, but I actually worked for a company most recently, a wealth management firm that specialized in doing wealth management for Chick-fil-A.
Oh, cool.
So that's all we did. We did 600 operators and corporate staff across the country. We did
Yeah.
wealth management, and then I was a kind of integral part of building out their tax service line for a couple
Cool.
of years that I was there because we were integrating the tax and the wealth, which was kind of a novel
Nice.
idea and really
That's
effective.
good. That's very
But,
smart.
fascinating to see the
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A brand and how they work and, the legacy of someone like Truett Cathy, and I'm sure
Yeah.
if you've spoken with, Alan
Uh,
Kaiser about it, like, you're familiar with that whole business. But I
it's
hear
wild. It's
I
great.
h yeah, I hear, like, very much some similarities in the way that, you guys are prioritizing culture, and I
Yeah.
can't help but wonder if that's not a secret sauce as well, is the cultural aspect of things that you've been able to build. I mean, it's like I hear you say we care for our customers, but then we care broadly means
Mhm.
caring deeply over those employees
Right.
too, their development, the culture,
Right.
like, that type of thing sounds like it's a big focus for you storage as well.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Have you ever heard Chick-fil-A described as a, chicken company that or a leadership company that masquerades as a chicken company? Like,
That that's yeah. I
that's
mean,
what it
yeah.
sounds like that's what it
Yes.
sounds like you're in, you know?
Yeah. Well, McDonald's is more of a marketing company than a food company. So
A real estate company too is what I've heard with
and a real
McDonald's.
estate company.
Yeah.
They're great at real estate and great at marketing. Their food and their service is not great. Yeah,
Oh,
the leadership. Yeah, we've had several employees come over from Chick-fil-A, and
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, the model is they're going to take somebody at 18, 19, 20, and when they leave there, they're going to be better off. They're going
Yeah,
to get that person some skills and some opportunities, and maybe they stick around for longer. But
yeah,
um, yeah, I mean, Chick-fil-A's done a phenomenal job of leadership. I think a lot of parents like, I want my kid to work at Chick-fil-A.
yep,
Like that would be the best thing for you to ever do is work at Chick-fil-A.
yep,
Kobe almost got a job at Chick-fil-A. They didn't hire him because he was honest and said, I'm only going to work for the summer. And they wanted someone to be there for 6 months
sure.
or a year. And he said, no, I'm only going to work for the summer, which he goes to David's, which I love. I don't know, Alan and
Oh, yeah.
David,
Oh, yeah.
but they're great. And he did great over there. But we had wanted him to work for Chick-fil-A just to learn and have that experience of customer care and culture and leadership development, all that kind of stuff that Chick-fil-A is known for.
Chick-fil-A has the leadership development program, I think is what they call it. Do you have vision of creating something more substantive, like with your leaders eventually? Or maybe you have it in place already?
No, book club is kind of what we've done. We have a
Yeah,
manager and training kind of program, but I believe we probably still need more built there to
sure.
really bring someone in as an assistant and then get them ready to go as a manager.
Okay.
We have been able to. Uh, I think I described to you how we kind of are growing.
Yeah.
So it kind of has worked for us where we don't need that so much because right now at every location we have one or two assistants
Mm,
and our job is to coach all of them up,
yep.
but then you know who the top two, three are. And then when an opening comes available, you already have your we haven't Lord's been good to us, but we haven't had any real issues with most of our managers started as an assistant.
That's cool.
We're raising up our own managers and it's really worked well because it builds culture, it builds camaraderie, teamwork, and you already have a framework of, so you have 10 stores, for example, and you have one or two assistants, you could potentially at any given time have 10 or 20 potential future managers.
Mhm. Wow.
So
Yep.
we have more manager candidates than we probably have stores right now. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
that's a
Wow.
good problem to have
Yep.
for a company.
Yep. Do you think self-storage is still all the rage, or am I off base if I'm assessing the market that way?
No, something I learned early on in investing is everything is cyclical.
Yeah.
Storage prior to 22, I think it was the best investment,
Mhm.
real estate for the last 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It has been great. It's going to be great. But the last 2 years, and I believe this year, the market's down.
Okay.
And so sometimes when something gets too hot, Warren Buffett used to say, when everybody in town is talking to you about how much money they're making in the stock market, it's probably time to sell.
Yep.
And I've known that to be true multiple times. So I knew the market was bubbling up with private equity and capital, and my dog was getting phone calls 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Can I buy your storage facility? Now I'm getting people calling me saying, "Hey, do you want to buy my storage facility?"
Sure.
So
Sure.
the market has changed and it's all
Mm.
shifted, which is part of the reason last year we weren't able to make as many deals. And I just don't want to overdo this year.
Yep.
But I could probably do another 5 or 10 deals this year. But now I've got to let operations and finance kind of catch back up to
Yep.
what I'm doing. But I would say it's kind of it may be a once in a lifetime opportunity that I see right now to get into the storage business. But guess who it's hard to talk people into doing getting
Mm.
into the storage business right now,
Yeah.
because you're looking at the last 1 or 2 years that haven't been great.
Right.
So money wants to run where money is making money. That is awesome. But if you're not thinking 5 or 10 or 15 years out, you could really make a lot of poor investments. And
Totally.
so longer term play, a little bit of pain right now in the storage business because a lot of markets got too much supply or too much new supply at one moment. And then, you're an economics guy. So supply and demand happens. Your
Uh-huh.
promotion goes up, your price comes down, and everybody's just trying to get those customers and get their occupancy built up. So not the best time right now.
Yeah.
Uh, 21, 22 after COVID was insane.
Wow.
I've never seen. I was worried after COVID. You mentioned fear at some point, but yeah, definitely scared. I think all business owners were terrified during COVID,
Yep.
and then the way the government played everything out and handled everything, like it became the two best years in storage, which then everyone runs into storage
Yeah.
thinking it's the best thing ever. It had been a really solid business for 20 years, but I think now it's going to be messed up it has been slightly, when I say messed up, it's still not like terrible. It's just not, you don't see revenue growth of 5, 10, 15% every year.
Yeah. Right.
What you were seeing, now you're seeing 1 to 5% growth. So,
Wow.
it's just leaner business. So tougher times.
Right. I'm curious, I mean, like, are there broader trends you can notice in the market that, like, contribute to those boom years, and maybe are like, I'm thinking, and this is, like, me making it ultra simplistic as a guy who doesn't really know this industry, but, like, people's storage needs going up, like, what could those factors be in the broader economy? Like, what was that in
Um,
20
yeah,
2022?
yeah.
'Cause
So
that's really what drives, right?
exactly. Yeah. No. So something that has happened. I mean, you typically get a definite churn in the economy with people moving.
Mhm.
All the transitions. I kind of mentioned to you. There is another component here of people moving. So movement of people, and that went sky high during COVID,
Yeah.
and everybody got their 2 and 3% interest rates and 4% interest rates. And now it's like, I don't really want to move because I'm going to lose my mortgage
Wow.
rate.
Yep.
So, not to get political, but political. So
Yep.
when the government now throws money out
Yep.
into the economy in a major way to business and consumers and cuts interest rates, and oh, by the way, a lot of people didn't really work that much. You had so much money chasing everything,
Yeah.
whether that's a four wheeler or a storage facility or whatever. So Well, then all the prices go sky high. You get all this churn and movement in your economy. It pulls it way forward. Then the spigot turns off
Yeah.
and the rates go up. And now you've got the aftermath of what you just did is you pulled a lot of activity forward.
Yep.
And so now we're seeing what I believe is just this locked in effect of some people. I think it's starting to fall out now where people are like, I don't want to live here forever.
Yeah.
If I want to move, I take this equity and put it into something else. So I think it's starting to fall. I think over the next couple of years it will. But on top of that, you had a lot of people thinking storage was the best thing ever in other businesses. And they built a business model based upon those 1 or 2 years, not like for me, I've been an operator
Mhm.
now for 15 years. So it's like, I knew that was not probably like sustainable.
Right.
Um, so it's like, okay, sit back. Well, now some of the pain is happening in the marketplace. The marketplace is correcting. Another quote by Warren Buffett, any book by Warren Buffett, I would highly recommend. But he says, when the tide comes out, you see who's swimming without their shorts. And
Mm.
so you see a lot of these guys like, I bought this storage facility thinking it was easy. I would be retired and I didn't have to do anything.
Right.
And now I'm not. So you let me buy you or let me manage you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then you go back to your regular life. And then
Yeah.
you kind of forget about this because that's what real estate really kicks in is over time. You forget about this for 5 or 10 years, which is my best investments, 5 or 10 years. Like you start looking like a genius then.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
months, it's hard to look like a genius, but the years, real estate, stocks, good solid businesses that are growing revenue, that's where all of your wealth is generated.
Would you say that's the biggest challenge right now is convincing people of the long game? Like convincing your potential investors of the long game? I don't know. It doesn't have to be the biggest, I guess, but is that
Yeah,
one of the
I
what
mean
I'm
that's
hearing?
it was we've had several projects we pulled the plugs on
Okay.
just because you look at a 5 year cash on cash return or internal rate of return and it's like it's okay, it's not great. We're using these conservative numbers. We need to use these conservative numbers. I just don't think this is worth me putting my money into.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Right.
Um, you know that's so you will have a harder time right now raising capital for any
Mhm.
kind of, and that's probably apartments. I think they're having similar apartments were all the rage for a little bit. And again, these are over the last 20 years, some of the best investments we've ever had.
Mhm.
But over the
Mhm.
last two, man, and storage is there, apartments is there. Uh, so everything cycles.
Yeah.
So, and I typically think in terms of 5 years. So it'll kick back and the market will get really healthy. And then in 5 years, people want to get into it. The problem is one of my best investments was 2008 and 2012, and people aren't doing real estate. Like,
Mm.
and those are some of my best investments. My second one was Maumelle. I bought an old Kroger and converted it to storage, and the cost basis is low. Now I've owned it. Rental rates have all gone up, and now I'm
Mhm.
like a genius. But at the time, it was super scary.
Yeah.
And the bank told me the same thing, like, man, this deal's tight. And if I would have took it to investors, I didn't. I only had one other partner, but if I would taken a package out to investors, they'd be like, I don't want to invest in this. This is tight. This is risky.
Right.
This all the stuff. But it's when the markets are down, you have the hardest time for investors to invest. And it's
Yeah.
really the same with housing. Housing right now is a little bit, there's buys out. There's actually buys. You can buy stuff. People aren't overpaying for stuff.
Yeah.
People are like, nah, I'll wait until interest rates get to 3%.
Yep.
You can buy it now and get a 5 or 10 or 15% discount and
Yep.
then refinance then. But it's hard. It's a lot. It's just emotional. People are very
Right.
emotional. But the best investors typically are more contrarian and are doing things kind of against the flow.
It's reminiscent of my days in a wealth management firm. I'm sure it's reminiscent of your days as a wealth advisor in whatever capacity you were in early on. Like it is an it's emotional management. It's like how can you how can you get people to not focus on their emotions? I guess.
Well, I mean, everybody feels good about, let me invest in Nvidia stock. That's
Right.
great. And it could go up forever. But man, if it goes down, it can go down a long ways.
Yeah.
Walmart stock has been pretty consistent, but it's harder probably to talk people to invest in Walmart than Nvidia. So it's
Yep.
just like people want to invest in what's hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like a few years ago, I was getting 10 phone calls a day for people wanting to buy me out.
Mm.
And now it's more like, hey, you looking to buy anything? So, I mean, the market has definitely changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in my opinion, which is why I'm buying more now, is this is when you want to do more buys, more
Yeah.
purchases.
So
Now,
so
smart would have been sell everything 2 or 3 years ago and repurchase everything, but I'm kind of a long term.
yeah,
It's hard to rebuild everything and like doing things like that. So
totally,
just
totally.
keep chopping wood every day.
I love it. I love it. What's the percentage of? I mean, obviously this is going to change as you grow, but percentage of what you have bought outright and what you property manage. In terms of your locations or I don't know
Yeah,
business.
I'm hopeful, but right now we just have one out of the 24 that are managed, but I'm really
Okay.
hopeful. Um, and really with your sales pitch that you had earlier today, um, I'm thinking we can land some customers. So
Nice. Okay.
um, we're going to hire probably a rep to
Yeah.
really start pushing that because I just believe that's a big opportunity for us to grow,
Totally.
scale our business, take what we've learned, take the lessons that we've got, and really put the systems out there and really start kind of growing. Um, I believe in 5 or 10 years it could be a lot more managed properties than owned properties.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's a response. As a good. It seems like a good response based on what you said about the market and how many people are looking to want to get out or just afraid of where they're at. So. And you have the operational like foundation that
Mhm.
you're fine. Like, you're gonna weather it very well. It seems like. Um, what is it like? I mean, I'm curious about the investment side of things. What is it like attracting investors to a thing like this? I mean, you mentioned we joke about
Yeah.
my sales pitch. I'm sure it's a lot of sales, but like, how much? What does that take to attract good investors?
Um, I mean, I think a lot of people have invested because now first you start with storage. People are like, I want to invest in real estate.
Yep.
I think we start there. Like, okay, this is a lot of people like real estate. They like stocks. They like businesses. So like, I've got capital. Where am I going to park my capital? It's not going to be probably a CD or money market or something like that. It's like, I want something to make me some money.
Hmm.
So number one, I think we have storage going for us. Number two, I think most of the people have invested with us either have heard of used storage, have seen a used storage, and have had a reasonable good experience, or they think we're a good operator, a good people, have integrity. So I think that reputation has of doing right has helped us a lot.
Hmm.
And then we just kind of then it's just the math. Does the math work? Do people want to put money into an investment for 5 or 10 years? And so we have to put a package together that they say, hey, and we don't try to put anything out that I don't invest in typically.
Sure. Sure.
So it's like this has to be some good investments where we do see some returns over the long haul. Some people want to see like returns over 3 years and they want to do these quick ins and outs and flips. That's great, but I've seen a lot of people get burnt like that. Uh, Typically over a 5 or 10 year period, you're gonna be in a good spot in real estate. And so
Hmm.
it's just really talking to a few people. Most of ours are friends, families, people who loosely know us. I think we have about 40 different investors now.
Okay.
So, and then, obviously talking about the Stewart thing we talked about earlier.
Hmm.
I think and I was going to mention this in the podcast, but, um, it may be Matthew 13.
Hmm.
But again, that mindset of stewardship of, if we do right, if we operate with integrity, we take care of our investors, we take care of our customers, our employees. That doesn't mean it's always every monthly reports, roses,
Right.
but there is that concept. And I think it's in Matthew 13 of 1 talent and five
Yeah.
talents and 10 talents.
Yep.
And so are we being a good steward?
Hmm.
So, and I know some people can get really bogged down in the numbers. I did the same thing when I was a stockbroker. And typically, you've heard of the dogs of the Dow.
Dogs of the
You ever heard
Dow,
that
you said?
dogs of the Dow? So the
I have
dogs
not.
of the Dow was a program where you'd buy the worst performing Dow stock
Hmm.
every year, and it outperformed almost everything for years.
Wow.
And so people like to see good numbers. So if
Mhm.
it doesn't pencil, you don't put it in front of people. And you typically know what's, 10% cash on cash, 20% internal rates of return. That gets people somewhat excited. Hey, we can do a cost segregation accounting report and get you some bonus write-offs in year one. There's people that starts getting interested in that. And then they hear the other piece of, we got a story. This is a hard asset. Storage has performed well for 20 years. So I want to invest in that. But we've probably under marketed that too. It's been a slow growth where we're not trying to go out to and beat, going podcast or um come out here on bigger pockets and say, hey, this is a big deal we're doing. It's all
Right.
been friends and family, and for multiple different reasons. Number one, we're not trying to blow up tomorrow. But number two, you start running into a lot of SEC kind of
Mm.
requirements and things like that. So it's just being careful and kind of growing slower. There's some groups who've come out here and own 300 facilities who started behind me,
Yeah.
but a lot of them took a lot of capital from investors. That's what they do. They go pitch it really hard. They go market it really hard. They raise all kinds of money from people all over the country. Um, but they also typically have quicker time horizons. So, and I may change ours up a little bit to where we are more of a short term play, and I may get in more management because it has the market has changed, so we'll have to change with the market. We may
Sure.
not be able to hold them for 10 years like I'd always hope for. May have to say we're going to hold something for 5 years,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so
Yeah, that
there'll be
makes sense.
just, I mean,
Sorry, say that one more time.
well, there'll be some changes to how we have to operate. And that's some of the things that we kind of have to continue to tweak our business. But yeah, you have to be honest with investors. You've got to let people know what you're investing in. And there's times where we had one we were going to do 2 or 3 months ago that we had basically discovered we had made a little glitch on our formulas,
Okay.
and we get till right before closing, everything is ready to go, and we said, hey, we can't do this. Like, this is not, so we try to protect your investors too, to where like they have a lot of confidence in you. It may not go exactly like everybody always plans it to, but you need to operate with integrity. And I
Mm.
believe again with that stewardship. So I believe if we do that, then more and more and more people would want to invest in our opportunities that we would have.
Sure. Sure. No, that's great. I guess one other kind of in the weeds question, specific business question about real estate. I know that you have done a multifaceted, real estate. You're basically a real estate mogul in my mind. Of all the different
I
things
would
going
use the
on.
word mobile.
But what I joke with Zach that he's also a real estate mogul, so y'all are
Yeah,
both in the same category in
yeah,
my
yeah,
mind. I don't know. I just use
yeah.
that word very flippantly. But I wonder what you would tell like a young guy who's starting out, young guy or gal, about how to just start, like where to
Mhm.
start in the industry. What with all the wisdom that you've amassed now, I mean, what would you say would be good first moves? Or obviously, we know, and I've just heard you explain how the market changes so drastically,
Mhm.
and we can start there with like nobody really knows, but
Right.
there are principles to live by. I'm sure. What would you
Yeah.
say to that?
Are you saying specifically in real estate?
Real estate in general, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple different ways to do it. Um, you could do it the exact same way that I did it, is just buy a house. And when you move out of that house, a starter home, you just
Hmm.
keep it as a rental, or you do you rent other rooms in your house. So in a way, you're already a landlord. So that's an easy way. I have told several people this.
Hmm.
Everybody in America could be a millionaire.
Hmm.
It's honestly super easy.
Yeah.
So this will be my sales pitch to you.
Sure.
You go buy 10 houses at a at back in pre-COVID, they were $100,000 each.
Yep.
So you go buy 10 houses. You're controlling $1 million worth of assets. Bank's going to loan you the biggest part of that, and if you play all your cards right, you don't have a ton of equity tied up into it.
Right.
Buying it right, financing it right, managing it right. So you go buy yourself 10 properties. Maybe you have some equity in them. Maybe you don't have a ton of equity in them. Depends on how much the bank is going to make you put into the deals. Let's say they just break even for 20 years and you do all this work yourself. So you are now a business owner
Right.
that controls $1 million worth of assets. Well, in 20 years, those assets are now paid for. Well, that million over 20 years is worth what today? 3 or 4, maybe?
Yeah.
Now you got a million that's worth 4 million, and because it's going up in value.
Right.
Now you're worth 4 million in 20 years. Your debt went from $1 million in debt to 0 in debt
Yep.
over that 20 years. Well, those houses are going to produce about $7,000-8,000 a month of income that you can't outlive or mess up or die. I mean, like, it's income for the rest of your life. So if you start at 20 and get started pretty quick,
Yep.
you can build yourself $1 million portfolio and you're now an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
That's one way. There's another way. There's plenty of ways because now, and I've talked to guys who've done that, but I've also talked to guys who, what happens is, did you hear 0 money for 20 years?
Yep.
People get tired of it because they really forget what's the big money in real estate is. It's going up in value and my debt's going down in value because they don't really
Mhm.
feel that every day. I don't
Right.
go buy groceries with that money.
Mhm.
So they never see it. And so 5 years into it, they're like, this sucks. I'm getting out of this thing. And then they get
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was nice. And maybe they made a little bit, but it's like your big money was the next 15 years.
Mhm.
But you got out of it too quick because you weren't seeing immediate fruit. And so number one, staying, but yeah, you can invest in a real estate investment trust. That's a super easy way. You can invest in a syndication. You can invest with storage. Say that
Nice.
again. Um, so
Say it louder for the people in the bag, Rory.
I, yeah, I probably need all the SEC disclosures, but you could you honestly could go with a guy, and I've gotten a lot of partnerships with different folks. Zach is honestly one of our investors, but you
Mhm.
go find a deal and you get 3 or 4 or 5 investors, and you buy an asset. And
Yep.
my encouragement is always hold on to it
Mm.
because that's where I believe most people make mistakes of churn assets. Um, and if it's a good asset, it's performing well and it's generating income, and it's paying for itself. Why do you want to sell it? Well, I want to go buy a new house or a boat or tractor or a donkey. We won't talk about my donkey on this podcast, I don't guess. Um,
I've heard about that actually. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, you just decide you want out of your investments. So and people do the same thing with real estate. With 401k plans, with stocks. It's
Yep.
like hold on to that, and so you have to play the long game in these businesses, I think. And so
Mhm.
start early and stay in it. Start early and stay in it. And it could be give me some of your money and let me just invest it. And you just sit back and relax and we'll,
Right.
we'll do all the work because there's
Mhm.
different ways to invest in real estate. Or it could be let me go buy a house or 2 or 3. And it
Yep.
could be even smaller than what I mentioned. You go start with 3 houses, but hold on to them.
That's good. That's good. That's yeah, good for people to hear. We've got instant gratification culture over here, ever more so I feel like, and I call it the microwave culture. We need the slow cooker culture more than ever. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's
Real
what you're.
estate is a great investment.
Yeah.
It is a great investment. There's really
Yeah.
not much like it. Like AI could make some billionaires, and it probably will,
Right.
but it can also be a big dud. You know,
Yeah.
if I go buy a house or a apartment building or a storage facility or whatever, it's still going to be going up in value for the next 100 years.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and can I guarantee that? No, but I mean, that's what's happened. I mean, stocks are great, Nvidia is great, AI is great, and it can make you money super, super, super quick.
Yep.
It could also go under tomorrow
Right.
and you have
Right.
nothing. So
Wow. Yeah. No. This has been great, Rory. This is such a good conversation on so many
yeah,
levels, and I really enjoyed it. I'd love
you're
to
making me
end.
think a little bit this afternoon. Normally my mind starts declining in the afternoon. So you're asking some really tough, good questions. So my mind's thinking this afternoon. So
That's
thank you for
great.
your questions too.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, my hope is that, it'd be mutual value given. You've given us a lot of value on this
Okay.
podcast, but hopefully there's something that I can give in return, and whatever that looks like. But I would love to end with kind of a summary, tie a bow on the conversation kind of question about a past lens and a future lens. Like, what are you most proud of looking back so far? I mean, you've done a lot. And then what are you most excited about as you look to the future?
Um, Looking back, I think just, just seeing all the different ways that we've kind of overcome challenges and obstacles, and just also like the relationships that have been formed, that a lot of them I believe I'll have until I die. So just all of that, and just kind of seeing like really where the business started with 140 units, and now we have 24 locations, 10,000 units. So that's gratifying to kind of see that. And then, I think to know too, we've done it all the right way.
Mhm.
I think it's just gratifying. Like, okay, I haven't always done things the right way, but I feel like we have here. Um, and just that, I think it's just like a continuation. And looking forward, I would say just really just kind of a continuation of what we've done. And then honestly, too, at some point, I look forward to being able to pass the baton on to
Yeah.
someone, because some people have said, "What do you expect to do with used storage?" Yeah, I mean, I've got a few choices. Obviously, we could sell it. Uh, you could do all kinds of different stuff, but I think it'd be cool for me to have someone that would be ready and I could pass the baton, and they would be in a spot to take over the company and continue to see it grow on. Because I think, the reality is you don't want to create something. Most business people don't want to create something unless you're just super money focused, but you really want to create something that's going to continue on. And
Yeah.
so I think that's going to be my big thing, is just like setting things up for future success and future growth. And I would be able to step away, and this company would just be able to continue to rock and roll without me.
Hmm. Hmm. It's great. This has been fantastic. Thank you again. Thanks so much for your time today. And any final words? I don't want to end without giving you your last chance to say anything.
No, real estate's a great investment. Start early. Bring me your money to U Storage. We'll invest it for you. Uh,
Yes.
Talk to Andrew if you want to get set up on a management contract. Uh, yeah. I would just say this, Andrew, this has just been a good time for me too,
Mm,
just to kind of honestly, because a lot of this stuff is not something I think about each and every day.
sure.
We're just gonna go and do, and things like that. So just the reflecting, and then be a disciple and disciple. And that's in business. I'm obviously a believer, so want to do that spiritually, but just remembering like people, some of the things that I have could be a knowledge base for someone else.
Mm,
And it feels good for me to be able to kind of like share some of this stuff, because it's been a wild rodeo. I don't have everything figured out. I'm learning more each and every day, but it's just honestly been refreshing for me just to have this time with you. So encourage people to do this kind of stuff and get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Um, Share some of your wounds, share some of your good things, your bad things, and just do that kind of stuff. So that'd be my
mm.
final piece.
It's good, Rory. I appreciate it so much, and glad that you had a good time, and excited to. We'll have to check back in another iteration of where your storage is at. Fast
Yeah,
forward another year or two. So
I want
I'd
I
love
want to
to.
check in on you too and get on. Next time I'll start interviewing you.
I love it. That's so funny. All right. Well, we'll cut this off for now. Until next time. Appreciate you.
Hey, Andrew, thank you so much. Have a great day, sir.
Yep.